today. ClubExpress a few weeks ago released an upgrade to the system, which is actually something that we have been looking for, which is the ability to award a certificate for participation in an event. There are a few steps that are involved in it. So we've asked Yvonne to do a little demo of that for you all so that you're able to see that. And then we will continue with questions. So I'm going to turn this over to Yvonne. And the procedure here, after Yvonne's done, if you have questions, just raise your hand and I'll call on you, or you can put your questions in chat. So I will turn it over to you, Yvonne.
Okay, so yes, let's see here. I'm going to share my screen here. We'll start with, since I'm following the certificate demonstration, I know we have a question coming from Washington. So I'm just going to go ahead and use Washington's website for this demonstration as well. The first thing you need to do in order to enable, well, you need to create a certificate. So let's start with that. Right here is in the events manager is the link to create a certificate. And
sorry, Yvonne, are we recording, just to confirm? I just
yes.
want to make sure we are. Okay. Thank you.
And so when you click on that, it's gonna, it's gonna have you start the process, and you're gonna add a new graphic. So the graphic, and what I've been playing around with and have determined is the best size, is basically you're going to take your graphic has got to be a JPEG and not a PNG. Do use a JPEG. And what we have done is we've taken an 8.5 by 11 Word document and created that in a JPEG and then downsized it, because if you take a regular 8.5 by 11 document, Word document, PDF it, export it to a JPEG, it is going to be too big to fit. It's going to get blown up in here. So so the first thing, I'm going to have to be flipping back and forth because I'm going to be using a sample certificate from your NIGP Leadership Summit that was for 2025.
Yeah.
So just excuse me for all the stop sharing here, going back and forth. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this certificate and I'm just going to save it as a JPEG file. Sorry, hold on. All right, what am I doing wrong? There we go. Ah, sorry. I just did this a second ago. Give me a second. All right, well, first I'm going to print it to PDF. I'm sorry, that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm going to print it to PDF. And I already did. This is the example right here. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And do you see, do you see the example now? Certificate?
Yes.
Okay. So now it's a PDF, and now I'm going to save it, export it as a JPEG.
We can only see the Word document.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Let's see. Stop sharing. Ronnie knows I've said this. I'm much better at Zoom than Teams. So I apologize. So now you see the PDF document, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to export it as a JPEG. I'm going to convert it to a JPEG, which I already did here. And then I'm going to open it, and I think this is going to do the same thing where I'm going to have to stop sharing and reopen. But I'm going to open it up in I'll just do this real quick. I'm going to open it up in Paint or whatever software you want to use. And I'm just going to resize it. and I know you can't see this, but I'm just going to resize it to, since this is a horizontal one, I'm going to use 825 pixel width. So it comes up as 3,300 pixels, so that's really big. So I'm changing it to 825 pixel. And then it's just a lot easier to work with that file. And I'm going to save that and close this, stop share, and reshare.
Well, I mean, you can actually have several tabs on Teams, and as long as you're sharing that same window, you can. I'll go back over. That helps.
See, that's the part I'm not very good at, is using the tabs. But now you see you see the Washington website, right?
Yes.
We
yes.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going to add let's see. I'm going to go to the certificate, add new graphic, and I am going to add the background here, select the image. And it should be that one right there, and save. Okay, so now once you've done that, and because this sample that I'm using was previously a background image pasted into a Word document, I couldn't eliminate some of this stuff. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a certificate that does not have this information down here, the date. It does not have, well, you're going to make multiple certificates because you're going to need certificates for different amount of hours. Unless you did, we could try and figure out a workaround here. But if your certificate were something like this, the first thing, it wouldn't say name here, and it wouldn't say organization name, which you're going to have, you know, the background, some information, but you're going to drop in the person's name. And that is done with this elements here. And you can add the attendee name. And when you just click on it like this and insert, it's going to insert it in this upper corner. And then you can move it and drag it where you want it. And then let's say you know for sure that that's going to be the exact spot you want it every single time. Then you just write down like a little note, 317 and 266, because then when you go to add the element to your next certificate and you want to add the name, you can say, I just want it to go to 317 and 266, insert element, and it'll drop it right in that spot that you know is perfect for where you want it to go. Then you can also add some additional, like maybe you want to put quotation marks around the person's name. Then you would put a quotation mark there and a quotation mark there. And it's probably not going to be around the name, but it might be around the title. And then if you look, you can see there's little quotes there. Okay. And then you can also change the style. Maybe you want the name of the person to be in your branded green. And so then you would click on style and you can choose your branded green, which I don't know the hex number, but let's just use anything here. And oops. Just go with chocolate. There we go. Select color. And see how it changed the color right there? And you can also do italics or bold. You cannot do both. Unfortunately, you cannot do multiple. So you can't choose bold and italic. You can only choose bold or italic. And you can change the font size, and you can make it all caps if you want. And then, you know, just you can play around with that, but you're limited to what you can do. And then same with other elements. So then you want to maybe choose the date of the event. So that's why I was saying that you wouldn't want this event to have, or your background image to have the date, because you're going to be inserting the date. And here is where I'm thinking, if you needed to and you only wanted to create one certificate, you could put something like this.
So Yvonne, just so you know, the drop down that you show is not showing for us. It appears for you. It seems to be a common issue that we have, but just so you know, your drop down is not showing the options for us.
So you don't see the element and you don't see the little pop-up out?
We see that, what you're showing, but when you add the name or the date or whatever, we're not necessarily seeing that. So those drop down options. Also, Ginny asked whether this could be saved as a template.
This one here?
Well, when you're creating this, can you save this as a template for future use?
Yes, so you're gonna create different templates, and then so let's call this one just so when you're creating this, when you're creating your file, your background image, they don't want you to use spaces. So if it's perhaps maybe it's 2 contact hours certificate. So maybe you type when you're uploading the image, you want your image that you're uploading to have no spaces. And so you would create the JPEG image with a file name of something like certificate 2.0 or something. And then your download name can have spaces, but not your file that you're uploading, if that makes sense. Okay. So so then you're going to create as many certificate templates as you want, and then for each event, you're going to choose which one of the templates you want to assign to that specific event. So
This is cinnamon raisin.
this what?
This is cinnamon raisin and not wheat.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That was for you.
So again, the different, so just play around with it. You can delete, you can edit, you can, even after you create your template, you're not locked into that template. You can, so I'm going to just create this and I'm going to save this. And then you can go back in here into your templates and you can go back and you can make edits to existing templates. So you're not locked in. You can still go in, move things around and do whatever you want. Okay. So it's like I said, though, the big thing is the size. You want to do 820. If you're going to do a horizontal certificate, you want the width to be no wider than 825 pixel, and you want it in JPEG. And if you're going to do a vertical portrait certificate, then 638 should be your width. No bigger than 638. And then when you go to the events, and let's use one of her upcoming board meetings, since I know that that's going to be a question that's going to be coming up. We're going to use this board meeting, and we are going to, in the basic info, turn on after the event. And then you're going to want to make sure you're tracking attendance. So now here's after the event. And when you go,
maybe it might be better to use the upcoming procurement summit month. I mean, we have the March summit event. Might be a good one to go ahead and add since you're already in here. Is that okay?
well, that certificate though isn't going to be good. So I'll delete this, but
okay,
because you're going to want to change the certificate.
Okay.
But so you go to the after the event, and then you choose which form you want to use. Oh, sorry, not form, which certificate. So that one was certificate 2.0 is the one that I just created. And then the panel is complete. And then let's see here. This one is not open for registration. So let me add registration. So registration and fees, no fee. We're just going to do that. This is still not visible on your calendar, so don't worry, Jenny. And
no problem.
Who can register? We're going to make it any active member. No charge. And then we are going to track attendance. And I am going to go ahead and register Jenny for this event. Oh, sorry. Oh, registration's not open. And I don't want to, let's see. All right, I'm not going to open registration, but what you're going to do, I'm going to bring up a different website. I apologize.
Yeah, sorry, that was a bad example for us because it's a board meeting. It was just like, hey, members, you can attend our board meeting, and that was all that intent of
Yeah.
that invite was.
I believe I did this in sampling it, my September, this one here. Okay, so when you track attendance, have any of you been tracking attendance for events and know how to do it already?
A lot of
Okay.
people.
Yes.
Okay, good. So when you track attendance, you're going to mark the person who's attended, which I already did. I marked myself as attended this event. And then when I go into my profile and I look at my event history, I will see a printer sign right next to this event because I marked my attendance here. And when I click on that,
Obviously, it's going to look a little different on our sites because that's not a NIGP chapter site.
right. When I clicked on it, it downloaded this. And so here I put in event date. That was my precursor or pre-event date. I put in the text in that box, event date, : space, and then it automatically filled in the date. And then the title, here's the title. And this was this, and then I dropped in the name here. So basically everything except just Yvonne Chris, event date 1/28/2025, and using skilled interpreters is the background image. And then what I've done for this group is I've created a certificate for non-substantive, a certificate for substantive, and a certificate for ethics. So that's what, and then for each event that they have going forward, I choose which certificate is going to go for that event. And I hope that makes sense.
So I have a question for all of you in attendance. Understanding now that we need a 825 pixel width image. I had supplied Yvonne with the Leadership Summit Impact one just as a basis, not understanding that you input the information. Would it be helpful for you all for us to provide you with some kind of background image that you can use so you're not necessarily having to worry about that? My guess is you'd still have to add your own logo. Can you do that, Yvonne, where they place their own logo within? But that, they're still using a standard, and I don't know what that image would look like, obviously, but we provide you some kind of background image that then you can add your logo and your meeting title or whatever it is that you want to add, but the background image is there and you can just use that. Is that helpful to people? Yes. Okay. So it sounds like that would be something. So I will work with Yvonne to better understand exactly. I have to think it through in terms of what it is. It would be in terms of the background image. It wouldn't be necessarily specific NIGP. It would be for you guys to put your chapter logos in. But I will work on that because I think that might make things a little easier for you in the sense that being able to just use that graphic regularly, you're not having to worry about creating something. So, okay.
And then one of the elements is chapter. So I don't know, I would assume it's going to, for this one, it would pull in your chapter name as it appears in your website under the About Us tab.
We have our own template that we've used in the past, so we're just going to repurpose it. And we can maybe demo this at the next time, because we actually created one for our chapter before we understood how to do this and sent it out to our members, and it worked out, but it didn't load it on our event history because we there you go. That's our example from our recent one.
And when you printed it, now you used a larger image. When you printed it, did it appear okay? Because I've tried with a larger image and it blew out the box. So in other words, only half of the image showed up in the box and the rest was outside of the box. And so I couldn't work with the template. So
Right. No, I can't neither affirm nor deny, but it's because it's an online PDF. We're just gonna file it because this was our first stab at it. I mean, nobody prints stuff anymore, so everything's digitized at this point. So I think we were okay with launching this without knowing much at the time. We'll
Yeah,
follow
and
your
there's
new instructions, so thank you for that.
and there's nothing wrong with using a different template that you're creating and only dropping in the name if that's what you decide. Maybe you're gonna, you know, but the only thing is then you're creating every time you have an event that requires or provides a certificate of attendance and awards hours, you're going to have to create a new one. And if that's the case, then you would just perhaps, you know, change the file name to the date of the event. And so you're going to have a lot of different files in there under the date, under a whole bunch of different dates. So that's up to you. The way to try not have to do that would be to drop in some of the information using the elements that they provide for you to use.
Yes, we'll do that. Now that we have your instructions, again, we were doing this blindly. This was our best first stab at it, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no, that's a good stab at it for sure. Does anybody have questions about the certificate? Once you start playing with it, what I recommend doing is creating an event, perhaps that's only visible to board members. So I think I'm going to question whether or not you all know how to do that. You can create an event that is visible to only committees. And so I recommend maybe, for instance, I'm just going to use this one for now. And under the basic info here, you can make this visible to committees. And then, and since ClubExpress did some edits 2 weeks ago, this box is gone. You can't see the outline of the box, but there's a little box there. And you can choose board of directors. And so now the only people who will ever see this event would be the board of directors. And then, and Ginny will fix this after. And then have your board of directors register for the event. Make it a free event. Have them register. Mark their attendance. Check the certificate, and see how it works out for you. Again, nobody else other than people who are on your board of directors would see this event if you did that. Nobody else would be able to register it. It won't show up on the calendar or anything. Okay.
Are we ready for questions, Yvonne, or are we done with the demo? Is there anything more? Okay. I do see a hand up. Amanda, take it away.
Good morning. I'm from Iowa, IPPA-NIGP.org. Okay, so I'm trying to create an emailing to go out. As I'm editing the basics, it's still our old president's name, and I know I've gone through, at least I thought have gone through everywhere to update new information. Should that update with everything that I've updated, or does that just like default because it was the last email that was sent out was the old president? Does that make sense?
Which email are you referring to? Is it an email going out through the communications tab, the emailing module?
Yes.
And is it one of these drafts?
Yeah. Either one of those. I thought I fixed it again, and then I'm like, nope, it's still there.
Okay. Oh, you mean in the basic info?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. That's
okay.
It helps. So under the configure tab and the options, that's where you change the name.
Figure. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, looks like I'm next. This is Lori from the Tennessee Association of Public Purchasing, which will be tappnews.com. I'm working on a new event that, since they updated the event the event module, I think some things have changed and so it doesn't look the same. But when I go to registration, I've got everything all set up, but when I go to registration and try to register more than one person, it's registering the second person as a non-member guest. But I'm thinking people are going to want to register more than one member at a time. And so I'm wondering how to make that happen.
Which event is it?
The Spring Professional Development Conference, that first one at the top.
Okay, so, okay. Are members registering for this event? You said yes?
Yes, but others, non-members can as well.
Okay, so what you would want to do is create, basically you don't have a registration type for members. You have
Okay.
a registration type for everyone. I would add active members,
Okay.
and if the active members would not be the sponsors, right? Sponsors are not members.
Correct.
So as an example, let's put in TAP. And then you would have a member guest, another member in your membership. So if that would be like if they were a secondary under a primary.
Okay.
Or another member.
Mm-hmm.
Or a non-member. Most likely it's going to be another person in your membership, right?
Probably, yeah.
So then that one, maybe you'd put member guest. You see how they're down here and it says active member. So somebody who's not logged into the website will not see this option.
Okay.
And once they log in, they will see this option. And then here, everyone, I would change this to, let's see, cancel that. I would change that to from everyone to non-member. So
Okay.
What you would want to do is any non-member, and you can rename these.
Yeah.
And then you would add another non-member guest of another non-member.
Okay.
So you just have some options here that you don't want. If you make every registrant type everyone, then when a member logs in, or when a non-member logs in, when a member logs in, they're going to see all these non-member registration options. You don't want a member to see all the non-member registration options. You only want the member when they're logged in to see the member registration options, because it's going to be a lot less confusing than seeing all of these. And it's going to take a little bit of, does that make sense, first of all, to everybody?
Yes.
I would say the same is true of a non-member, right? So earlier on, Michael had told us never to use the everyone as a registration type, because what happens is your non-member as well will log in and see member, which is usually discounted, right? So
No, we don't do that because we've got non-members from like the other two Tennessee chapters are invited at the same rate as the Tennessee
usually the
statewide
best thing
chapter.
is just to add a
yeah, we don't do
non-member
that
option instead, so that way non-members aren't seeing members, because everyone just makes it such that they see everything. So, and there is an option to do in non-member registration, active members, there's all kinds of options. So just in general, it makes it cleaner and easier and less confusing to not use everyone. That's just kind of a blanket suggestion, I guess. I don't know why. Michael even had said why. I don't know why they haven't removed it, but I don't know. So certainly very confusing for you guys because it's not obvious, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
if this were everyone, and I'm logged out right now, and you had a member registration, especially if the price were different, but if you had a member registration option and it was set to everyone, and a non-member registration option and it was set to everyone, I would see both, and I would be confused. And
Okay.
that's why you don't want that to happen. So this one's going to require some more cleanup, and I don't want to waste time. Now that everybody understands that, Lori, I can work with you on cleaning this up to get it, because you have all these multiple activities too. So once the correct registration types are set up, then you're going to have to go into each of the activities and redo each of the activities and make sure that they're connected to each activity.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you don't mind, I will email you after this and work with you after this, if that's okay.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
Yvonne, before we move to the next question, we had a question in chat about the certificate. Is information included in the FAQs or support documentation on ClubExpress? Do you know in terms of how to use that?
On the certificate, they have not done a training thing. Since they just rolled that out, like what, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, they have not done a training. I don't know if it's going to be included in tomorrow's training. So there are no videos yet on it.
Okay.
And I just played with it once it came out, and that's how I was able to figure it out.
So my guess is it's coming, but it's not there yet.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Alan, take it away.
Actually, I believe Jenny was ahead of me. I think Teams dropped before Teams dropped her.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Okay. I guess I'm back in the queue. Thank you for that. So my question, Yvonne, is I know that there's this calendar of events view. Is there any functionality in ClubExpress that talks of like where you can extract all the meetings that you have so far? Oh, event reports, maybe? Go ahead. Or do you want me to repeat my question? Oh, do you want me to repeat my question?
Extract them all? What do you mean?
Well, like we're trying to do like planning for the whole year. And so we already have events throughout the year recurring or whatnot. Is there a function in ClubExpress in the back end where we can extract that as an Excel or a CSV rather than manually having to create one for ourselves for proper planning purposes?
Do you mean like an event export right here?
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. So in the events manager, event export, you can export the list and you can choose your start and end date. So let's just say 1/1/2025 to 12/31/2025. To be honest, I've never done this, so let's see what it is. Okay,
yeah,
so it comes down as a CSV.
Okay, great. Let's do that. Might as well.
Yeah, so I exported here and it opens up in a CSV, but I'm not going to go back and forth and change. Right. Do you want me to show you it?
Sure. I mean, because I'm thinking I have to do this manually by month, but if it doesn't extract that way, then we'll pivot. So I don't want to waste any more time if it's not going to do what I want it to do. Okay, so this is the way it looks like. Okay, good to know. All right, great. Next question, on the member achievements, I think we touched upon this a little bit last month or 2 weeks ago. In the control panel, where it says, apologize, not control panel, but in the member achievements section under the control panel, where is this where I can see, because I was told by the member they can't add their own achievements, like, their committee membership. It's not something they could just hit the add button. Is that just designated committee chairs only that can do that for them?
Are we talking about the volunteer module?
Well, I don't think that it's a volunteer module. So if you if you go to control to the member profile, go to the member profile instead. Sorry, on the up on the top on the member,
Yeah, you mean just like if I were to go to my
just my profile, me as a member. right?
Mhm.
So if you hit on profile.
Yeah, see, I can't. I don't
oh,
have
you
a profile.
can't. Oh, okay.
So I can look at somebody else's,
Oh, sure.
but
Okay, well,
I think there's
put
one
mine.
in there for you.
Sure, yes, there is one for me. So if I go on achievements here. click
Oh,
on
achievements.
member
Okay.
option- Right, the achievements. See how I have my achievements? Like I can add to it. My members just informed me last week that they don't have that button. So what makes me special besides I guess I have admin rights in the back end, but
Yeah.
what was the purpose of this if they can't do their own? Or is this now a responsibility of the director or chairs to make sure they implement this for their members to get credit? Or
Yeah,
is this more of a run?
it's definitely, it's an admin option for the admins to add member achievements, but they should be able to, let me look at one thing here. Sorry. Jenny, let me, I don't want to hold you up.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me
Yeah.
get back on that.
Yeah, no
Member
problem.
achievement.
I have
select
an
what they want to have, so I'll send it to
Wanted to
everybody.
show, you know.
Yep, so right now I got letter news.
Sorry.
All right, are we moving on to the next question? Yes?
Yeah, sorry. One more quick question.
Oh, sure, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
You're
If can you go to the home, the home page? So the way that our banner, or I guess our web page looks like right now, on this scrolling thing, if we say we just want to play around and say, hey, you know what? I think we like our chapter news to be above the scrolling thing. Is that something we can do and then like save it as a draft, just kind of as a pilot run? Or is this like a standard? We can't touch this the way that this is formatted.
So the slider was created as part of the CSS. You can certainly go and update the text in that, but
And
they
pictures?
yeah, in the pictures, you can update the pictures and the text in that.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah,
Okay.
but the location of the text on that is kind of coded in there.
Okay, no problem. All right. So
Is that what you were asking about? Where the become a part?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's revisiting all of this, I guess, CSS. You know, if we want to change the verbiage or the picture or whatever. But it was more of our chapter news is kind of buried where you have to scroll down a little bit on your page. Like I know people like to have things right up front instead of having to scroll down and see we have a whole bunch of chapter news going on and it's buried down there. And I'd rather be this like at your face, like, hey, here's what's new. So maybe our strategy would be let's move our chapter news maybe in the CSS rather than the same old that we keep scrolling through because they're actually like fresh, news. And we want members to see it.
So that I don't know whether or not you're allowed to change your Jenny or Ronnie. Are they allowed to move?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I think it's probably more of a discussion of whether we change the template just because we want to try to maintain a consistency of look. I do know there are chapters, however, their sites, they have changed, the look. They've taken out the slider or whatever. Certainly, I'm not going to recommend that because that's not exactly what we're hoping for. So for instance, even we're about to put together a toolkit for procurement month that we're notifying you guys about in terms of, and providing a slider for you guys to put in your homepage, that kind of thing. But you certainly can, move your event chapter news up and stuff like that. I would say in today's world, most people are used to scrolling, on our phones, how our tablets, we're constantly with our fingers, but we aren't locking these down. So it really is up to you guys what you want to do, obviously. So you can, if that's something you chose to do, Jenny.
Yeah, no problem. We just wanted to know
Yeah.
if we played around in there and not activate it, that we are allowed to kind of do that kind of test run
Yeah.
before that there's a way to do that safely is really the most important.
Yeah, so there's going to be some, let's see, is there a blank row, no content? There's going to be in this widget right here is where there's some custom style.
Yeah.
You can change your images in here, but
Okay.
there's some custom style in here that you're not going to want to play with. Yeah.
That's when you change the text. And on the admin FAQs page on your site, there is a tip on how to change out the image and stuff for this. So if anyone's looking for how to do that, it is there.
Yeah.
We'll do.
But as far as moving the row, I mean, if all you're looking to do is move rows, you just find, you highlight the row, you can see the little blue around it, you highlight the row you want to move, and then you either move it up or down. So if you wanted to, for instance, move this up right below your slider, you would not, you would not click save and make active. You would just save new version and exit.
Okay. Got it.
And now that is this one here. You can see it's below the active one, and then you can view it so that you can see if you like that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Love y'all.
Well, I know you need your event, so just real quick, and I'm going to have to clean up your other event that I was playing around with. But the reason you had sent an email asking why your event wasn't showing up, I'm going to look at future dates, board meetings.
And that's okay, Yvonne. I mean, I see a whole bunch of other folks with their hands raised. We can definitely take care of it offline if we need to.
Okay.
Just
But
for
I'm
the
going to
sake
show
of
you
time.
this right here. This says creating, so it hasn't been fully created yet. But
Okay, gotcha.
and the other events don't have membership registration types yet. So I will email you with that. I'll answer your email.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Yvonne.
Sure.
So Alan, did you have a question? You had your hand up. I wasn't sure if you had a question, or should I move on?
Yes. I've actually got a couple of questions. Does ClubExpress offer something for voting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um,
What group are you with?
So we're with Kentucky Public Procurement Association.
Okay. So that is in the communications tab, under the communications tab, under surveys. And when years ago, ClubExpress just had surveys, but you could still use the survey as a election. But now they've actually added where they ask you, is this for an election?
Okay.
So if you go to communications, surveys, and you were to create a new one, it's going to ask you, do you want us to configure this as a election?
Okay. Okay. So traditionally we have done our elections in person at our forum that we hold every fall. And it was brought up this last year that if a member is not able to attend in person, then they essentially don't have their right to vote for the board of directors because they're not in person. So we're wanting to implement a way to where everybody, whether they're in person or not, has an access to vote for the board of directors. So okay, so it's already prefigured. I can add that, and it already asked me whether it's an election or not.
Yeah, and it's going to ask, because if it's an election, it's going to be not unanimous, anonymous. And so you're going to want your elections to be anonymous.
Okay, so can you add additional members to that at any time? Because we put out a call a couple of weeks ahead of forum for nominations for the board of directors, but we also take up nominations from the floor at forum. So can we go in and add, if somebody nominates somebody new, can we add that at any time to that election?
Yeah, you can make edits to it. Are you going to open up voting prior to the live event?
We will not. we will only open up nominations at that time. And we're going to try to make it that voting will be a short window after all the nominations from previous to forum and on the floor at forum have been made.
So it's not going to be a write-in candidate, because you could do that too. You can have a write-in option where people write in a name.
Okay.
And one of the questions would be, you know, if I'm voting for Joe, John, Karen, Kathy, other. And then those would be the write-ins. And then that could be you know, where they actually type in a name.
Okay.
But otherwise, you just want to have somebody with a laptop there creating, once people have been nominated, going into the event before you make it live and adding the additional names, and then activate the survey and make it go live.
That we're going to try to make this our only voting mechanism, because that was brought up as a concern. Well, if we vote at forum in person and then we're allowing online voting as well, that people could possibly vote twice. I think if we do this, we would make it that you would have to log in and vote through the online mechanism only. It'll be our only way of voting. But we could take up nominations both online and on the floor in person.
You can set it up and they can vote ahead of time, but they have to log in to vote, and it will recognize them that they've already voted. So they won't be able to vote twice. But you're saying in person, are they voting on paper, or are you going to have them vote to? Okay.
That's how we've done it in the past, but we're wanting to get away from that.
Okay, so if you're going to do that and you're going to eliminate the in-person, you can create it and open it up and have people vote, and they won't be able to vote twice, because you're going to require that, even though it's anonymous, they have to log in to vote, and it will recognize that they've already voted.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question is we've went through got our 2025 board of directors, and some of our committee chairs have changed. I'm the treasurer and running my third year as treasurer now. And I've noticed that I've went in and tried to update all of the committee chairs and all the information that I could find. However, now when we print invoices for membership renewals, event registrations, things like that, that it still has the old information of the old committee chair reflected on that invoice, and I do not know where to change that at.
Okay, so the committee chair is, let's see, is that considered your membership director? Is that why it's, or treasurer, like, so those are system tags within the emails. You know that, right? I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming you know that if you send yourself a system tag test, you'll see what needs to be updated. And you said it's an invoice, membership dues.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, so membership dues. Okay, let's see. The treasurer, budget and finance chair, treasurer. Let's see. Is Alan the treasurer still?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's you. All right. Okay, so that is us. This is always the tricky one, to be honest. Okay, Alan, you're using the title, and you're saying your name is not showing up on the invoice?
It is. Well, no, I take that back. On the invoice, it is not. It is showing the membership chair as Renee Lindsay, and that is no longer correct.
Okay, so that's on the contacts. So that is chapter, contact us, and membership chair is still set to Renee.
Still set as Renee. Okay. So that's the only place that I need to update that, and that should update the invoice tagline.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
John, you have your hand up.
Hi, yeah, I'm with the Central Florida chapter. I was wondering, is there a way to turn off the ability for members to add secondaries?
Yes.
Like,
Is it, you have to go into the member type. Let's see. Is it a specific member type or all member types?
I think it would be a specific member type.
Okay, so which member type are you, is it that you do not want them to have any secondary members, or you do not want them to add secondary members throughout the year?
I don't want them to add secondary members throughout the year.
Okay, so you would go into the people tab and the member types. Let's see, wait a minute. Which member type specifically?
Full member.
Full member. And all right, so you've got secondary members.
So you
Okay.
don't want all of your full members to be able to add secondary members. You just want agencies, for instance.
No, we don't use agencies, but what I find is that people add secondary members, but when you add a secondary member, all you're doing is putting first name, last name, and paying the fee, but you don't put in any other information. So they create these profiles without an email. So then these people are now members, but they're never getting membership emails. Or somebody switches agencies and the new agency creates a new profile for a member that has been in the system for 12 years when we could just move them from one primary to another. But if it's partly communication, but partly just they just go in and they're like, oh, this person's not a secondary, they need to be, I'm going to add them.
Yeah.
But then that person never activates their account or puts in an email address.
So all of your members should be individual members where they're responsible for their own membership.
No, because like we still want primary and secondaries because we have primary admins or people at the agency that'll pay for everybody within the agency. But I just don't want them to add new profiles. I would rather them ask me, can you link this person to me?
Okay, so first of all, there's two different options for you. So
Okay.
this is in the control panel, people options. And you see here, secondary members, it says do not capture email address. So your first option is you can change this where the email address is required. That's why they're not adding an email address, because it's not asking them to add an email address.
Oh, that's good.
So you could do that. You could just change this to email as required, or you can change this and say, no, secondary members are not allowed outside the sign up and renewal wizards. But without changing this, it's going to be this. If you change this to no, when they go to renew or go to sign up, or they go to renew, they're still not going to be asked to capture their email address. So you can either change both of these or just change this one. But this, when you change this, I don't know if any of your other membership types have secondary membership other than this one. It's going to change the options for all your member types that have secondary options or secondary members.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's primary or full member really only, but the other ones don't usually use secondaries.
Okay. Yeah, I would, it sounds to me like all you really need to do is just make this required. Do you want me to set it to required?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Okay.
Can you show how to get to that screen again one more time?
Yes, that's people option, people tab, people options down here in the setup.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. And the other question I had on events for event exports, there's one report I can't seem to export, and I was wondering if anybody else has the same issue. It's the activity registrant data. When I try to export it, the window just closes, but nothing happens.
Do you have a specific event that happened to?
Yeah, it's the January 31st membership meeting.
January 31st membership meeting. And you're using the export or the report?
Export.
And you said registrant data?
Activity registrant data. Yeah, that's what mine does. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, that, I wonder if that's something happened after they rolled out the changes. Activity registrant data. I'll send
Looks
something to
like-
ClubExpress.
Looks like Heather just said she can't use in Chrome, but she uses Edge, maybe? What
Yeah, I've
browser are you
tried
using?
I tried different browsers and different devices. It was the same result every time.
What is an activity registrant data? Is that like all the activities that were happening at this meeting? Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. It also includes attendance once that's entered, so it's an important one for us for certificates.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I will send something to ClubExpress on that.
Okay, thank you.
I know I've printed that in the past, so something must have broken.
Yeah, I've done it in the past before. It's my favorite report, I think, out of the list. So.
Okay. And this was, sorry, this is for Central Florida. And what was your name? I'll send you an email. I'm sorry.
Sean Hines.
Sean. Okay. Yeah, Sean. Gotcha.
Yeah, I know I have another outstanding thing with you as well, that for changing registrants, we emailed back and forth last month.
They have made some changes to that. I don't know if anybody else has seen that, where you can much more easily change what somebody registers for, especially when it's a multi-activity event like this. I don't know if people in the past have tried to edit. There used to be a big, you have to, if you wanted to edit different activities and different things and multiple things, you had to keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. And now it's much more easier to edit somebody's existing registration. But I don't think it's solved your problem from last month or 2 months ago.
Yeah, and I haven't had an instance to bring it back to you with, but once I do, I will let you know.
Okay.
Susie, you have your hand up. Susie?
Yes,
There we
thank
go.
you. Sorry, took a second for my mic to unmute.
Yep.
So I'm from the Columbia chapter, and we want to do a hybrid event. So our membership meeting in March, which isn't in the event calendar yet, because I'm not sure how to set it up so that some people can register for the virtual and other people can register as on-site. Obviously, it's a lunch meeting, so we're going to need a count of people that are going to be there for food.
Mm-hmm. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to ask them during the registration process if they're going to be attending in person or via Zoom or online. So you're going to want to go to the control panel and go to website events. And then you're going to want to configure event questions. And you're just going to create an event question that is tied to nothing, but it's going to be in person or virtual. And it's going to be a yes or no, true, false, or no, it's going to be a multiple text box. And you're going to create something like, will you be attending in person, and that, or virtual, and then for, let's see, not multiple text, radio button. And so it's going to be you're going to create an event question, radio button option. You're going to put your question in here. Will you be attending in person or virtual? And then you're going to put in your item list in person. I will be attending in person. And then on the next line, because the answers are going to be each per line, I will be attending virtual. And you're going to want to make sure that you make this as response required. And you don't have to worry about these other things down here. And then when you create the event, you're going to want to make sure that you choose under basic info, event questions. So that'll enable the questions box to show up over here on the right.
Right.
And
okay,
then
I've done that before, so.
Yeah, and then you're just going to you're going to choose that event question for all registrants.
Okay. So Okay, so separate question, and this is perfect. When I set up this meeting, which will be virtual, our February meeting, when I try and test the link, I get an error message. It's
Test the link for
this one, for this, yeah. So when I click on that, it gives me an error. And it doesn't for you. Well, it doesn't do anything really though for you.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's because I'm in a Teams meeting too. So I would just make sure you got the right link, and you put the link here. You don't put it in the location. You don't require registration.
We do require registration, so it should be in the so that maybe I'm putting it in the wrong place.
If you don't want people to see it here and you want to require them to register, then what you would do under the basic info is you would add, you would check mark location. And then under the location, you would add the video link. And so you did do this, but you've got the show video link on event. You can also change that to send an email after registration. So now what would happen is the person would not see it. Nobody would see it if they went to the event landing page, but once they register in their email, they'll get this link.
Oh, great.
Okay, do you want that? Do you want me to save it like that?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so now when I go back to the event, that video, see it says video conference information will be provided in an email once payment is received or once you're registered.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne, we are a little over here. We do have 2 more questions. I don't know how you want to handle that. Okay, Donna.
Hi there, I'm with Central Ohio chapter. I have a question about coordinators. We have 2 folks who are set up as coordinators. They are the co-chairs of our program committee, and we set up their coordinator positions and we checked the box that says events. But for reasons we don't understand, neither one of them can create a regular event. They can only create quick events.
And who would be one of these coordinators?
So, sorry, trying to read. Casey. So there's an event box in the website. There's only one, and that is clicked. There didn't appear to be another events choice. But when this person goes to try and create an event, she's only given the quick event option.
And is she trying to do that from the front end, create an event from the calendar grid?
I think she's tried both. Because there's an option when you're looking at the calendar, there's an option, and there's also an option from the control panel. My other website person had them try both of them, and they said both don't work. I don't have a screenshot or anything, but
tell her to reach out to me on that one, because there should be no reason. We can do something real quick here and try. Let's see if we go to the website website tab, but this should not affect it. You have it set up that they're correct to give them coordinator rights, but let's go to website configure, and we're going to look at events here, and we're going to make sure she's okay. So you've got
both of them are there.
Yep, they're both there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'd like to see a screenshot of that.
Okay, I'll get that.
And you have the email address, nigp@acclaimpros.net?
I do now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, T.
My question is really simple, I hope. It was regarding the secondary members. Does the system alert the membership chair when our members add a secondary member? Because then wouldn't they be prospective?
Well, which organization are you with?
I'm sorry, MPPOA, the Michigan chapter.
I think it's an add-on to Sean's question, Yvonne,
Yes.
about updating that information with secondary members.
So let's take a look. Is there which member type has secondary members?
Say for
As an
instance,
example?
ours does, Great Lakes.
Wait, I'm sorry, are you with MPP? So no, which membership type? Agency tier 1, one of these membership types.
It could be a 1, 2, or 3, or 4.
Okay.
Any one of the tiers, if they add another member.
Okay, so they can have up to 2 secondary members. Okay, so it requires approval.
Okay, so it does. Okay.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to make sure that it did send the membership chair a notification so they can be announced during the board meeting that a new member is being added.
Yes, so
Okay.
you just want to make sure any of the membership types all have that set to requires approval.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then let me just see one thing here. People options. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I don't see any more hands up. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for your demo today. That was really helpful. There will be a recording of this session placed on our playlist, our YouTube channel. If anyone wants, just let me know, reach out to me, and I'll send you the link to our channel where we post all of the recordings for these. And if you have any questions, reach out to Yvonne and Kaylee. If you have any questions, and also if you haven't signed up for your free chapter training session, that is also something we're offering. So please take advantage of that, especially if you have new people who are trying to learn the system quickly. So thank you everyone else for joining us. We'll be doing this in 2 weeks time once again. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.